General Bhatia, I want to begin with you. I want to understand, why are we so afraid of change? Because this is exactly the perception that armed forces like things in a set, rigid pattern, and they do not want to move with times. This is the need of the hour. We do have a rising pension bill. We also want to get in a more younger and a leaner workforce. And this is a practice that's used in multiple armies across the world. Why isolate just India?
Right, thank you. I'll cover four issues. The last one, the first, the multiple armies. Our challenges are different. Our context is totally different. If you look at the Israeli army, the population less than Delhi, they have a policy of massive retaliation for anything which disturbs the national security. We do not have that. We have contested borders along the sea. We have China knocking at our doors. We have infiltration coming in from across the line of control. So there are different challenges. So let's not compare what others are doing. We have an excellent recruitment base. We have an excellent recruitment system, processes, criteria, selection system. Fortunately, that remains unchanged. Fortunately, what has changed the term of service? Now, the key issues are, and you raised a number of concerns, and rightly so. And let me not political. I'm not political at all.
Sure.
There are pros and cons to it, and there is a way, and the ownership should be taken by the government to ensure that the scheme is success for the sake of the nation, sake of national security, for the sake of the armed forces, for the sake of the aspirants. I'm with the scheme, and as far as that is concerned. But does it enhance our combat effectiveness? A plain, simple answer is no.
Okay.
Does it get us the best recruits to the armed forces? The plain, simple answer is no. Because now when he comes for 4 years, there are apprehensions. He will prefer to go to the state police, the state armed police, the CAPF, and many other jobs. And when he cannot get there, he will come here. Right now, an aspirant, a candidate trains for 2 to 3 years to get absorbed and put into the army, because he takes as a lifetime career. Absolutely, he has a jazba, he has a will to fight, he has a will to sacrifice for the nation. Will a 4-year recruit who comes in, a soldier, will he actually be risk averse? I think he'll be risk averse, because he's looking back over his shoulders to go back to the society. The third thing, and which is equally important, is the 75% who are not selected oblique rejected by the army. You may not select them, but when they go back to the villages, they will take a rejected from the army, and that is something which is not right. We have to look after that.
Correct.
We have to look after the aspirants who are there, who have served for 4 years, and there are ways and means to do it, and it's been doing. That's why I say the ownership of the scheme should be the government, the authority. Accountability should be with the government, and the authority should be given to the armed forces to review it. A pilot project was a necessity.
Guru, let me bring you back in, because the pressure is currently mounting not just from veterans and aspirants, but the opposition as well, the likes of AIM and others now wanting a rollback. Is there going to be a rethink as far as this scheme is concerned? Was it rushed up?
No, definitely not. I don't think so. I think the question was addressed to me, Radhima.
Yes, Guru, go ahead.
Right.
Yes. No. As far as we are concerned, Radhima, let me make this very clear that it is the policy of rationalization, and we have seen the extensive consultation in the last 2 years. If the opposition or any other interest group they has any reservation, they can definitely approach the government. But it's beyond time now that there won't be any rethinking. But the misinformation campaign that has been initiated by the section of opposition must stop now. This damage to public property that is happening in parts of Bihar, it must be discouraged. This protest that has happened today, we are of the considered view that it's a politically motivated campaign. The opposition must not mislead the youngsters of the country. And like I said at the start of my remarks, that in terms of employment, we are doing far better than the UPA government, be it government employment, be it self-employment, be it Startup India, Stand Up India, or the recruitment in the army as well. The last couple of years could not happen, unfortunately, due to COVID, but we are now committed to giving respectful, dignified employment to the youngsters of our country.
Wing Commander Acharya, respond to what Guru is saying. The opposition is trying to mislead the youth, and that's why we're seeing the protests that are breaking out, because all the concerns have been allayed by the government.
I find the BJP spokesperson absolutely insensitive, because the beneficiary knows what is good for himself. He has been preparing, he has been aspiring, and he also knows if he joins this 4 years, after that 4 years, when he comes out, he is just a 10th pass. Whereas all his other counterparts have already become doctors, engineers, graduates. He will have to start up again. And then, in that case, he will be so much frustrated.
No,
He
no.
will have to face rejection.
All that is
So
fine.
my point
This is what I was
don't
trying to
be
understand from
insensitive
you,
to the-
Wing Commander Acharya, that the merits of the scheme we're ready to discuss and debate. And this is what the government is also saying. But what justifies the kind of vandalism and destruction to public property that we saw? These are, as I said, at the cost of repeating myself, these are aspirants who are trying to get into the armed forces, the Army, Navy and Air Force, which are the most disciplined forces. Are you sure these
I'm
were
surprised,
aspirants and
Ridhima.
not politically motivated?
I'm surprised why this question is posed to me. You think it is being done by the Congress party? Then you are wrong, because it is a pure, it is simply an, I mean, you are just blaming us. This is incorrect, because a beneficiary knows that person who has been aspiring. Don't you see? Are you not sensitive enough to understand what is their plight? So don't blame here opposition for this. Government has gone berserk. They wanted to announce it instead of looking at the country's armed forces efficacy. They have looked at the elections. They have looked at the data of unemployment that they wanted to fudge. So they are playing around with the Indian armed forces, which is very incorrect. The armed forces are not guinea pigs. We are the people who safeguard our borders. It should not be done with the armed forces. It is absolutely bad.
Okay, General Dua, I want to come back to you. Some of the other concerns which seems to be lacking a lot of clarity is where will these people come from and what happens to the other aspirants who've been preparing as far as the recruitment is concerned? Will it essentially be the same pool?
Look, these are two separate issues. Beg your pardon. One is the issue of, and that is what is the protest majorly about, that what happens to those aspirants who have missed the chance of recruitment rallies over the past 2 years because of Corona lockdown, etc. So that is a different aspect, and the terms and conditions of this particular scheme are different. Now that's a different issue. To the best of my understanding, now onwards, all the recruitment will be as per the new policy, which is under the Agnipath.
Okay.
So the government has put into motion this new recruitment scheme. The anger on the streets is more for the other one. There is some protest for this Agnipath terms and conditions of service also.
Okay, General Bhatia, I'll give you the final word, and this is the larger issue what many seem to be asking, because the rationale given by the government was that we want to do this to reduce our rising pension bills. But will this cost of reducing our pension bills also impact the professionalism that is expected as far as the armed forces are concerned?
Yes, a definite, it will impact the comparative effectiveness of the armed forces. Pension bill, I think we want to understand pension bill. The pension bill is not ballooning. That is incorrect totally, because there are about 35%. There were 600,000 employees, civil employees paid from the Ministry of Defense and the defense budget, and they are on the NPS system. So the pension is coming down. It's only the soldiers, sailors, air warriors who are getting the pension. We'll have to afford the pension, because pension money cannot drive your national security alone. It's sort of insurance. You pay for insurance. What is going to impact is the combat effectiveness.
Okay.
A soldier takes about 5 to 6 years after coming to the unit to become an effective part of a team or section, a platoon, a unit, a submarine, an aircraft squadron. So what we are now lacking out there. He will not be fully optimized. He will not give the full returns of the 4 years. The training is cut down to 6 months.
Okay.
The problem with the training is we're not looking at only knowledge and skill. That can be part of 6 months, not a problem at all. We have methodology doing that.
Sure.
But attitude takes a long time. And it's the attitude of the Indian soldier which has stood us in good stead. It has been effective. And that is how we've been able to be effective from 47 onwards, going to 65.
So a lot of reservations that still remain, though the government is saying that as always, we're open for a dialogue and discussions. There have been consultations that took place over the last 2 years, and now the scheme has been rolled out. This, of course, is a story that we'll keep tracking very, very closely. I'd like to thank all our guests. We're slipping into a very short break. Thanks a lot for watching.